Yeah, so we're going to talk about the learning curve of 40k. So, with the rules and mechanics that you were learning on your first game, first demo games, then the first full game, what aspects of the rules were the most challenging to learn? And were there any specific mechanics that you found particularly interesting or difficult? So, I guess the first question being, what was some of the aspects of the rules that were the most challenging?
So I think because like as I break down the rules, they're not too bad by themselves. And even coming from like Legion and other games, it's like, okay, that makes sense why they do this move. Or hey, we have these turns where it's like here's command and then there's the movement, shoot. Like that all makes sense. It's kind of more like the interactions and how your army can, break them. And when I was kind of first learning it, and I was kind of it almost felt like I was drinking from a fire hose because there's times
Yeah.
where it's like Space Marines look cool and Astra Militarum are cool, and it's like, well, I don't know what I want. I mean, I've collected enough Green Knights where I could play them, but there's always that. I don't know. Let's see what else is out there. And I think I started like 4 different times looking at YouTube videos, going like, okay, they're going through this, this, and this, and then I just after a while I was like, okay, I feel overloaded. I'm gonna take a break, and then when we finally was like, hey, we're gonna sit down and play a game, it was nice where it's like, okay, you'll just do Grey Knights. It's like, wow, that really funneled it down to where it's like, okay, here are the phases. Those are not too bad. And the more difficult rules are definitely what made the Grey Knights special, where it's like, oh, it's all this timing when to pick up units, and do I even want to pick them up to deep strike them? And I've always had a difficulty with movement in some of these games. I always seem to pick the one army that does movement, and then I never really do well with them. So it's kind of my curse. But those are probably the more difficult ones. It's like timing, where I need to be, where to position, things like that. Make it a little difficult until I see it actually on the table. Where it's like, oh, that's why you want to do that. Oh, you want to charge because of this, things like that.
Yeah, that makes sense. I think positioning in any wargaming game is one of the most challenging aspects. I mean, we had that when we played Kill Team.
Hmm.
When you position your guy incorrectly, that could mean that your guy just dies.
Yes,
Or in 40k, if you position your unit incorrectly, that means it's not able to do anything on the next turn, or you can't score the objective you wanted to, and
or you get charged.
yes, or you get charged. You don't space properly.
Yep.
It can be pretty devastating. So the second part of this is just were there any specific mechanics that you found particularly interesting or difficult compared to other games that you've played?
Yeah, I guess it's kind of what I said before, where it's like that movement that gave me that difficulty, kind of like wrap my head around it. That was like the most unique that I've had from all the games. Not that I've played a bunch of them, but the few I have, where it's like, oh, being able to pull someone out just when I, need it so they can get out of danger, or it's like, hey, you did good over here. Now my secondary tells you have to go all the way to the other quadrant of the board. Just being able to do that was very unique and very cool. Just being able to be like, hey, I got this flexibility. This is pretty sick. Um, I think that being that teleport that was a teleport strike, I think was the most tricky
Yeah,
part for me.
yeah. I mean, to like piggyback off of that point, our other friend who was playing in the Space Marines,
Hmm.
uh, as the Space Marines, he had the Eradicators that he kept in Deep Strike or kept in
Hmm.
Strategic Reserves for 2 turns, and then he dropped them where he needed to.
Oh yeah, definitely.
And that's something that we would never get to do in like Legion. Like we would never be able to do something like that, or Kill Team. Like
Yeah.
half the game that this unit is off the board comes in as a reinforcements. We're in the place that they need to, and then influences the game from there on. Like that's something completely different that we are not used to.
Definitely. Yeah, where he had them, they were perfect there. Because my strike squad at the time, they couldn't deal with that. They had a truck running into them, so they were busy with the transport truck. And the Eradicators just kept shooting me in the back, and it's like, yep, I can't deal with them.
Yeah,
They're too entrenched.
yeah. Yeah, the movement mechanics in 40k, being able to deep strike and all that is a cool, unique thing to 40k that you know I enjoy it a lot, but is definitely different than anything we're used to.
Mm-hmm.
It makes the game like very thematic, though. I think that's what I really enjoy about the movement. It doesn't feel, I mean, it feels like you're in the 40k universe.
Definitely.
Yeah.
You just listened to a clip from Inwarp Mag. If you like what you heard, you can listen to our full podcast episodes right here on our channel. Subscribe to this channel right here to listen to our podcast or to listen to more of our awesome clips.